All right, welcome to this video series on the North and South nodes. In this video, we're going to talk about if you have your North node in the second house or Taurus, which would mean your South node is in the eighth house or Scorpio and Ophiuchus. So this is, in my opinion, the most important part of astrology is the nodes. I was just doing this exclusively with my personal sessions and with readings, but over the years, I've developed a lot, learned a lot about the nodes, and I feel like it's about ready to be shared publicly for all of you. So hopefully you do find this to be helpful, at least as helpful as I do, because like I said, I find it to be the most important part of the chart. So if you don't know where your nodes are, down in the comment section, there is a birth chart calculator. So you can check to see where your North node is and South node is. The North node is sort of the N-shaped horseshoe, and then the South node is the kind of U-shaped horseshoe there. But yeah, do check that out. It is using the actual size of the constellations, so you will notice some difference from mainstream astrology. But yeah, I personally find that chart to be the most accurate. So do check that out and really pay attention to the house that the nodes are in. Make sure you watch that video. That's going to be the most important. The sign's also important, but the house is particularly important. All right, so what are the nodes? The nodes are essentially showing the life path direction. And the reason I feel like they're so important is because what you'll likely see is that regardless of what's going on in your astrology or in your life, there is this sort of undercurrent to these experiences. And the undercurrent is the nodes, or at least the nodes are showing this sort of life path that is underlining these experiences. So it really is helping us make choices. It's very much the free will side to the chart. So regardless of what's going on in the astrology, we are able to implement this free will, which helps us bring more balance to that area or whatever the matter is that we're working on. Now, the way we usually feel this is a bit of oscillation with the nodes. So let's go ahead and start with your South node, which represents the past life energy. If you believe in past lives, I'm going to use the analogy in either way just to describe this. But it shows the energy from the past and where we're coming from. So for you with the eighth house or Scorpio and Ophiuchus, this would mean that in a past life, there was likely a lot of emphasis on dependency in some regard. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean just material dependency, although that often is the case. That's, I'd say, the majority of it, at least that being incorporated into it. But any type of dependency in the sense of like or what we know about or call codependency, which is the emotional dependence as well. And so, for example, not to be taken literally, but maybe in the past life there was a lot of emphasis on where you didn't have to worry too much about the material realm because someone was able to just provide the material, your material needs through that material dependency. And so that allowed you a lot of time to explore more of the deeper values of life. Where you didn't have to focus too much on the material stuff, you could explore more of the deeper values. And a lot of your themes were likely about cultivating emotional security in the past life, right? And so this is also the other side of the dependency too, where we have these deeper relationships and deeper connections that we need on this soul level. So the important thing here now is to see that, okay, in the past life, there was likely a lot of emphasis on non-material matters, right? So matters pertaining to emotional security versus material security. There's probably a lot of matters involving the deeper dimensions of life because that allowed you to get into the deeper aspects, right? And so maybe some of you worked, on deeper matters like with your work, psychology, esoteric stuff, sometimes research, health, these kinds of things that are about the deeper dimensions of life. And then with this, likely just essentially a lot of sort of matters pertaining to transformation and healing and dealing with, again, our deeper selves like fears, insecurities, the importance of setting boundaries, and in relationships, setting boundaries, because there was, again, a lot of that meshing of boundaries with that sort of codependency type of energy from the past life. So the reason this is important now is that this life is essentially about bringing balance back to this sector. And the way you'll likely feel it is that one side of you may want to go all into the dependency, let's call it, but then another side of you that wants to go completely into your own self-autonomy, into your own self-reliance. And so there's this oscillation between the two. And you'll even notice that in certain time periods of your life, there's been maybe times that we're heavily emphasizing more of the, again, deeper dimensions or the dependency, whereas other times we're more self-reliant and more about your own self-autonomy and maybe the material realm and things like this, kind of avoiding that. So now this path is about bringing balance back to this 8th house. And so the way to do this is to do your best, as we're all doing our best with the South Node. There's no real perfection with this. We're just evolving with this. We can, incorporate a little bit of this, goes a long ways. But practicing non-attachment to the side of yourself that may want to go into these deeper emotional security related matters. The side of yourself that may want to go into codependency, or may want to go into relying on others, or go into the deeper, transformative, intense aspects of life. And just to be aware of it, there's nothing wrong with it, but just to be aware of this side of yourself and practice non-attachment to these things. Because life is taking you in a completely new direction, or at least helping you cultivate a completely opposite direction, which is your material security and your self-reliance, right? And this is your North Node. So if in the past life there was a lot of, dependency, then this life, to balance that out, it's about learning about and exploring and making mistakes with independency or self-reliance. And if there was a lot of emphasis in the past life regarding the deeper, intense stuff, then this life, to balance that out, is about the material life, the material enjoyments, the comforts of material security, and of connecting to the sensual life, good meals, relaxation, connecting to earth. And again, all of this does arise from cultivating that greater sense of self-reliance. So fundamentally, as you develop more and more, because again, there's no end with this, there's always going to be more work to do with this, there's no perfection with it, but exploring more about your self-reliance and your cultivating of your inner resources and your inner self-value and self-worth, which you have a lot of because you've developed already in this life, but as you further develop that and learn about it, that's going to lead to, I think, the external manifestation of that, which is greater abundance, material security, and again, enjoying the simple aspects of life, the material life, and relaxing into that. So this is your path in a nutshell. To break it down into simple terms, essentially, it's practicing non-attachment to the side of yourself or to the things that involve dependency or codependency, or focus on others' needs or something, or wanting of that deeper emotional connection, and even boundarylessness, things of this nature. So practicing non-attachment to that, also non-attachment to the deeper, intense aspects of yourself, because again, that's the comfortable. So non-attached to the deeper values. And so that non-attachment can really help free you up from the South Node. So the other side to it is your North Node, and that's to learn about and make mistakes with and explore self-reliance, self-value, cultivating your resourcefulness, the slow and steady aspects of cultivating that grounded energy, and then as a result, your material life, your material independence, your self-reliance materially, things of this nature. Now, not as an end in and of itself, because you'll find that if you go all into just your self-reliance and into the material realm, that's likely going to be unfulfilling for you. Because again, it's about balance. Because what's ultimately most important to you and what needs to be acknowledged is the fact that those deeper values, emotional security, that's likely what's most important to you on a soul level. And so it's important to maintain your roots there. It's just that the process of going about bringing balance to that will require the non-attachment to it and will require the development of your self-reliance. That's the paradox. That in order to have good emotional security in life, we have to have good material security. And to have good, healthy, shared, deeper connections and deeper relationships and vulnerability and all this, we do have to have a good sense of self-reliance. To really enjoy the dependent aspects of life, if you want to call them that, the shared aspects of life, we really do have to have a good, healthy sense of self-reliance. And so that's where you're learning and growing, exploring, and then feeding all of that self-reliance, resourcefulness back into the deeper values, because that's what they need. Again, two sides of the same coin. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. Please let me know down in the comment section if you have any questions regarding any of this stuff. Now on the screen is a discount for 20% off birth chart readings if you do want to get deeper with your nodes and then also the planets, because obviously this is still just a very general look. Your unique chart will be specific to you. So do check that out, but thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Take care.